or the Falter Rash, that's his den. So welcome back, plenty of parts there on the bench, but Kai made an 20 diesel or sheer deuce. So we put this boy back first, because he's still there since we were doing the bit of work on the last video I put up was these two parts here, the governor, the diaphragm housing and the little damper kind of lad at the back. So we'll give it a start up and we'll sure, sit up on it, it's probably as easy. I'll move this out of the way because we don't have that much space. So what we were doing last time was making sure the tick over isn't jumping up and down. So we adjusted the rod on it there. So it's nice and level. It's not too low as well. I don't mind having it too low, because if you're letting it ticking over too low, it's only just not going to charge. So the couple Porter and Mincha on shot agam. So we have a few options here of things. I do want to fit the second fuel filter to the 20 diesel. So I went ahead yesterday. This was in a very bad state inside, and I shot blasted it. It wasn't good, and that wasn't Harvola Berta either. That wasn't great either. It was very bad. So shot blasted everything. Only way to do it. This was rotten as well and hard enough to clean, so into the blaster. So that is going to be the job that we're all doing. And the reason why we had to wait so long to get the second filter fitted is this pipe here. So there's two types of 20 diesels. I have both myself. I have a 1953 that doesn't have a lift pump, and I have this one is a 1954 that does have the lift pump. Now by lift pump I mean the little extra primer pump that pressurizes the diesel. It draws it down from the tank and then it pressurizes it into the fuel filter. So on the gravity feed models that don't have this, the pipe that's used to connect the filters, now I think I have one here, I do, yeah, is this pipe here. So it basically goes between the two tops of the filters. So the filters go in something like, we'll put them that way just. So it basically goes on that lad there. We'll put it up on the stand here and we'll show you how it works. So on the gravity fed 1952 and 3 I think. I don't think they made them in 20 diesel and 51, I could be wrong. Like gravity feed on a home never had any problem with, you know, fuel starvation or anything like that anyway. But I suppose there's a reason why they brought in the fuel pump, you know, to give a bit of pressure into things. I'm trying to think, do I have another banjo there? I do, yeah, I can use this just to show you what goes on. So something like this. So they're in series. And there's another, if I'm not mistaken, there's another one of them pipes on the back as well. So that's how the gravity feed system works. But in the fuel pump system that we have on the 1954 behind me there, we have this kind of an elbowed pipe that you cannot buy new. You could make one, alright. I have little fittings that come out there just a little bit and you can attach on the rubber pipe, but I don't want to do that. And I didn't want to do that, that's why I didn't do it up to now. It goes like that, I think. Am I right in saying that? that's the way it goes there. It's a lovely pipe. So it's fed from your lift pump here into there, and now these work in series rather than parallel. Parallel being they both are connected each side. Now, what I find with the parallel system on the 20 diesel, I'm just going to get another banjo and I'll come back. Banjo bolt. Okay, so what I find on the parallel system, right? I've seen this myself, and I can tell you, it's a bit of it's a poor design. That's strange. So this one came out with another fuel filter. Will it go in? It will go in. This needs a bit of convincing. So yeah, on my parallel system at home, the gravity fed one, like this, right? That's a fine enough thread now, I have to say. So on the parallel system, you have one of these pipes, both sides, right? And it's fed, because there's no lift pump, it's fed in here, right? So you have another one of these on the inside. But what I find was, like electricity, fluids are always going to flow the route of least resistance, the easiest way. So what it was doing was, we'll say on the inside here, right? It was getting fed here by a pipe in there as well. So this was a longer banjo, right? And it was going in, you can see in written there. It was going in just to the pipe, because there was less resistance in the diesel running through there into the second filter than there was it having to go through the filter. So what you do, what I ended up noticing is this first filter was never dirty at all, whereas the second one was dirtier. So the later system with the pressurized system was a better system, because it forces it in through both fuel filters, do you know? So it was a Puro later, a registered trademark AP company, and fuel filter in and out. So when you actually shop blast these, you really show off, you know, the material in them. So I half thinking maybe shop blasting and clear coating it. I don't know. It's a pity covering up all the old text, like, you know. I think so. I think I might do that with both of them. So that is the job I'm going to do. I'm just waiting on 2 fuel filters elements, and then we'll be able to start putting that together with the proper pipe. And that's, as I said, is the reason why I didn't want to go at that before now with bodge jobs, because I can make up a pipe that'll work with a flexible pipe for that. I have the fittings for both sides, but I don't want it. I wanted to get the right pipe on, and that pipe thankfully is not blocked. The one at home, one of the joiner, the V-shaped joiners I showed you, the pipes, was actually blocked with rust because it wasn't being used. It goes to show how bad a system it was. Whereas this, being a bit of pressure, about 5 psi, it always does generally keep it moving, you know, and that's what you want, really. You don't want these getting blocked up with rust. So yeah, well, it'll be an interesting one. It'll make it a bit more original. Look, if you're watching the videos regularly enough anyway, you'll see with that 20 diesel, she's running well, she's starting well. She just needs the finer points kind of tuned a little bit, and you know, she needs a few more original parts. I'm trying to sort out the bodge jobs that were done in it over the years. Now, I suppose I'm calling them bodge jobs. The next man might say that they were just what was done to keep the tractor in use. So we've a few other jobs here. I cannot get this off the end of the shaft. I've had to file it. It was kind of getting mushroomed there from me tapping. You can barely see the shaft inside it. So it's going to go into the air fryer at 200 degrees. I'm going to leave that cook because I want to do a job on the shaft and that. It's not too bad and it's a bit loose there, as you can see there, in that lad there, so we can put a sleeve over that. It's no big deal, but we'll do it anyway. But I did a few videos on the distributors. This is my last distributor body, and I want to refit it, as I've just got a bearing. I ran out of bearings, so there's one more bearing there. So first thing we're going to do is get him cooking and see then can we get this lad off, because I have tried and tried even on the gas cooker inside holding it. So I'm going to actually bake him now and see will he let go of that little fitting there, and we can get into the shaft then. Turn her up to 200. All the marks are worn off that, so we'll just leave it there. I'll actually probably forget about it until I smell or see the smoke coming out of it. Right, so this buckle here needs a bit of a clean down in there where the bearing goes, so we can organise that. I know I have a lot of videos on these, but you know what, I didn't see any other on YouTube yet, really doing up. I didn't see much videos of any really, you know, apart from one or two, they're specific to this D3A4 Ferguson 20 and 35 distributor. Give it a general, it's got a shot blast in there, so just a general quick. It nearly kind of polishes the aluminium as well. Leaves a nice finish on it. Especially there where you expect the earth to go through there. Them little screws go down in there. Okay. It's not too bad. It's not 100% great either, so I might get a better wire brush on that if I can. It's a little bit. There's a better one there. Yeah, there's a better one on that. It's this kind of prep work now that makes all the difference when you're talking about bearings. Like, I have a lot of this ready to go back together. It's just I was waiting on that bearing really, that's all. Speaking of bearings, the bearings in this poor Dremel, I'd say, are well and truly shagged. Let's give it all a polish up there. That's a bit better. You can see the part number down there now as well. So what have we got? So we've got our shaft, distributor shaft here. We've got our cam. It's polished up lovely with the metal polish on the Dremel. Really happy with that. Oh, a little bit on it there, but it feels smooth as hell, and that's the most important thing. So I suppose what we can do is knock on our bearing. Okay, well, let's go and get a little bar for that. Let's make sure if I use this, I'm not going to hit anything. Right, well, let's get a little punch there now and get that on. I'm not going to put it in that vise just in case it breaks some of this important stuff there. So, I have the shaft well cleaned up, so it shouldn't take much to tap it on anyway. That's the sound then you hear when it's home, as the man says. Okay. Feels mighty, as you would expect. There's just one thing I want to check. Some of these had a truss bearing and some of them didn't. So I just want to yeah, feels good. to make sure we're not going too far down. How we'll know is we put on our drive lad here, if there's much of a gap we'll put a truss bearing. Yeah, there's a bit of a gap on that surely, so take that bearing back off. Alright, that's not a big deal, so let's go and get a few screwdrivers and take that back off. Okay, this has been there so long there's probably a truss washer for it there. I just know from this one, this particular one, they usually have a truss bearing. So just whip it off there. Okay, keep it all in order there. Right, I hate tapping off bloody bearings after I've just put them on. But look, it's not going to be taking too much now. We can put this in the vise now. That's not going to be a bother. Always harder to take off and put on. There we are. I just hate doing it. But I don't see a truss bearing in there. But we have some. Definitely have some, and shims here as well. That's very big, is it? No, it mightn't be, so leave out that shim. Okay, there's one there. That's a truss, well, a truss washer really. Yeah, I'd say that's probably what it's missing. I presume. It just clips on there. And we'll throw on, for good measure, we'll throw on one of them shims. If I can pick it up, it's bloody narrow little lad. See, does it fit out of interest? I presume it does. Oh, it's too big. That's no good. That's alright. So look, we'll put that back on. At least we can put this back in the vise now. It's not going to go damaging it now that we have all of them bits off it there now. Right, so we'll tap it back on. So I usually fit a little washer over it there, so have that over it there, just protecting it. We'll just see, does that going to make a difference? We'll know in a minute anyway. Okay. I do like to see it to be snug enough on there. I'll just throw a punch through it there. Make sure that, let's get a feel there. Oh no, that's going to be perfect. That's going to be perfect, I think. Up and down. Yeah, let's give it a slight tap from above here. Let's get my plastic hammer. We don't want to hit that with the threads in that. We'll tap it down a little bit just to make sure that it hasn't, if there's much of a gap, I'll put a shimmer. Yeah, there's now a gap in it there. Yeah, so we don't like that. Okay. That's no problem. We'll work around that. Might use them shims. Okay, so we'll take a look at them. We'll get them all out and we'll come back and have a look then and see what's going on. So we've got two shims fitted there that are in the box. Let's go and see now. That makes things a little bit better. I would like to take up a bit of that. The gap there. So that is the way it's going to be there. That to me is just a little bit too much of a gap for my liking. I know the shims are in there, but it still looks to be a little bit excessive. So we might just even try and fit. See, the shims have to be loose to allow oil up. This is slimmer than this here. And it allows oil in there, so it's probably going to be okay. The more I think of it, actually, it has to get oil into it. So that's probably me just being a bit over the top. So we'll just try the roller pin in it. I find this prefers to go in one side more than the other. So make sure it's lined up. One of these has got to be wider from getting tapped out, so okay, needs to tap through a little bit more. Okay. Let's get it roughly level. A little bit too far, that's all right. Just may as well put in the effort just to get it right. Yeah, one more little tap or two, and now we'll be bang on. I'd say that's good enough there. Okay. So with that in mind, we face him out to us. I'm going to throw a little bit of oil on the weights plate, whatever you want to call it. Okay. These are all polished up. So, piece of Bilgola. Now, there's a way I like to do these. So we get our drive that's off. This is not straight, as you can see, it's off to one side, so I like to have that to the right hand side and have that facing the same direction, and then tighten them up. And these should be roughly 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. The two pins there should be 12 and 6. Okay. And from what I saw before, the heavier one goes on here. I'm just going to check back through my photos because I took a photo of that, and I'll come back just to make sure the heavier one is on the right. Being carticle, yeah. So these have to be able to swivel. They have to be able to move. Centrifugal force, I think it's called. So you don't want to be making life any harder for them to move. So clean everything up, oil everything up, grease everything up, do what you have to do. And then this has to be able to spin nice and free on this, so I usually put the distributor shaft in the chuck of the drill and I give it a good clean up to make sure it's able to spin nice and easy. And then you just check the spring by turning it back against itself. It has to spring back. That's your advance. The more the engine revs, the more the advance the timing has to be. So this is our little nut with the, or bolt with the hole through it, allow the oil down through it into the middle of that distributor shaft. And there's a bit of felt in there, kind of a felt kind of a thing, and that kind of keeps the oil there. This is where you can put the bottom of the distributor into the vise, tighten them up so it holds it, and you can tighten the top then. It doesn't have to be savage tight, because there has to be a certain amount of end float, and that has to be able to come up and down as well. So that is good. Tágan ma. So we're looking good. We can just oil up a little bit there. It does say to do this in the workshop manual. The bearing is sealed, modern bearings are sealed, so you're not going to have to worry about that. Points plate I thought I had for this, and I thought I had it polished up. I do. Polished up, so come yes there. It's bloody nice looking now. So we focus on, I'll get a bit of sandpaper here. We focus on the earthen points, because the points and condenser have to earth through here. That's your indent for the condenser. So this whole plate has to be earthed. So 2 seconds of the job, clean it up. Your spark plugs will spark all the better for it. Now, just going to make sure that I think I did I do it wrong? No, I didn't. That's okay. So I'm going to make sure that that drive is there. Yeah, that's all right. So then line her up into place, and we get our screws that are tiny little, what are they called, 5BA or something, 4BA screws. So we go through these. So we get a small screwdriver to do that for us. Magnetic screwdriver here is the job really. Sit them down. Remember, this is an alloy casing, so go handy on the tighten. We'll tighten them up too, and you crazy to have them all in, because there is a bit of movement in this points plate, because the holes on the top of the plate here are wider than the screws, so there is a bit of back and forth, and screw all your screws in loose enough first, and then come back. And these screws are probably a bit dirtier because they're fighting me there. They probably need a little bit of a clean up. Just a little bit of a clean up, I'd say. Hopefully this doesn't go flying away now. I just feel, normally these fly in, they just feel a little bit stiff, that's all. That's a shallower screws needed, maybe. Have a look and see if you have a shallower one, a shorter one I should say. They're all roughly the same length, I think they're... Haven't really encountered that problem yet. Right, we'll just go with it. They do feel a little bit tight for my liking now. Yeah, so they're tightened and they're not gripping. So what we might do, because we probably should do it anyway, is take this out and give them a blow with the air gun. There could be bits of the shot blasting material down in there, so we'll just give it a blow out, and we'll put on, I should be putting washers on these anyway, I have them there, spring washers, then we'll test again. It's only going to be a matter of doing that, I think. So So I'll come back after that blown out. Okay, so there was a bit of shot blast material down there surely. And it didn't come out too easy either. So hopefully that'll clear them up. It's a problem I haven't run into before now with any of the other distributors, now that these were getting tight before they were gripping. Okay. Still a little bit tight, but not gripping, which is strange now. Oh yeah, that's pulling down a bit better, but they were very bad with shot blasting material because there was oil in them. The shot blasting material did not want to come up out of it. So that's all that was wrong with that. Okay, so we do have to pick a condenser out of here. Okay. Right, we'll just test. I'm going to get the multimeter and we'll test that one there. So we'll just put a bit of power into this and we'll see then how the power should go down slowly. Yeah, so that's going down nice and slow. The connection isn't 100% great here, so I can jump around a bit. So there, that's definitely a gubber, definitely working. So that is what we can fit. Okay. Transfitting him. Okay. To swap that bracket. Might have to do a bit of fabrication to this bracket. I will. Usually have to do that because these aftermarket ones are just a little bit off for fitting. So, and a bit of filing is needed. Just the bottom of them sticks out just a little bit more. The bottom bit there is just a bit proud and it catches the side of the cake. So I take a bit of material off it. That usually does the trick. I have to do it for every one of the other ones, so this is not going to be any different. We didn't have this problem with the original condensers because the bracket was part of the condenser. So I know it has to be filed fairly thin on the top, on the bottom I should say, for it to fit. And then the top just to give it a quick rub as well. And then all we can do is try that. You know if it's fighting you, that you have to go a little bit more. So they're a little bit, you know, they're only meant to go on one way. So if we want that turned that way, we're going to want him there. Make sure that's good and clean because it has to earth through it. No matter if it scratches, it's better off being able to do its thing. Okay. And roughly centralize them there. Okay, so I think there should be good enough. I don't put a washer on these because they're a double layer of a bracket. I find they usually end up taking up a lot of threads, and this doesn't this would be better if it was down, if the bracket was down flat at the bottom, so you know they're not 100% ideal. But what other option do you have, I suppose? All you can do is take your time, go handy, because you can strip threads in that very easily. Right, so shin on condenser. The next piece in the puzzle is this long lad here, and we usually have to clean him up because he's bringing in power, so we usually have to clean him up. So I get a set of files and I come back and show you what I do with him. Right, so your kind of detailed files, get one with a nice sharp edge on it like that, and just clean in there all around. It's brass, so it does clean up, it shines up. Considering that's bringing in all your power, you want everything that touches it to, you don't want the power to go through it seamlessly without any problems, without going in vakana, without any kind of resistance at all. Shine her up. Simple as that. And then for the threaded bit, because it's fairly well and covered in grease and stuff, put them in there, give them a tighten up, just give them a quick dart. Dart of that, and these threads, they don't corrode, so when you have them clean, it makes putting it back together out of the ace, lovely and easy. Okay, so that's probably angled down too far nearly, is it? Yeah. So firstly we have to put on this lad here, insulator like that, and the second one then there's a round insulator, and then there's a flat bottom on it, and that has to be lined up there, and the whole lot slides through there. Spin your insulator there till you get the flat on the bottom, like that. You can sit your is that right? Or am I thinking? It is right, yeah. It's been a while since I did this now, so you can sit your connection for your condenser in there, and that should pull in there. And then we have to start getting insulators on there. And I have started making some of my own insulators for that particular job. There's a few you can use. See now which ones I have left. I think something like him there. Is that the same size? That's slightly bigger. That's the one to get the one that's the right size. That's the one there. So we can put in this fibre insulator first if we want. I think that if it goes in, if it doesn't, flog them if it doesn't. Look for a better one. We don't have to put that in there, but I should have a few of them knocking around here that I can use. Like that lad there is a bit wide, but it's just to get him to fit in, I think. He doesn't want it either, he needs to be filed. So we might just go with mine. It's important that the plastic lad is pushed through anyway, because he's what goes through the actual casing. He stops them shorting out. And then this lad here, I find it's just a plain rubber lad that I punched a hole in. I find that they're brilliant because they're a little bit oversized, and then when you tighten them up, they seal and they stop moisture getting in and all of that. So after that, we can start fitting washers. So have a look through there. I don't see anything too nice there. So we'll look through our parts here and see if we can get a nice washer. He's nice and wide, and that's kind of what we're going to want there to keep that insulator in shape. That's good. And then we have our nut. So we'll give him a rub of the sandpaper, shine him up. I just need to put them on hand tight. These are the kind of nuts now, they're very specific to these. They might be the same as what's on the coils as well, the ignition coils, but I know they're fairly bloody specific. So that's fairly all right there. While we're at, I'm just trying to think pints. I'm out of my new pints, so I have to root through here and find a nice second hand good set of pints. I have bags of them there, all right. I just want to get a nice, well, that's a fairly good one there. There's nothing wrong with that, lad, just wants a bit of cleaning. Normally they're pitted and stuff, so that is a good one. We should have the match of him in there. It's a Lucas one. And there's Lucas there as well. There's a lovely original wire there with the brass connections. Big fan of them. Never going to see the likes of them again in any material now anymore. So that's one Lucas point there. I just want to see if I can get another match. I should have bags of them. Since this is my last distributor. There's a Lucas there. And since this is my last distributor, I am actually out of new points at this stage of the game. So I am going to fit a good second hand. I find I've used Lucas ones before and they're really bloody good. So we'll go and have a look through our points in our bag over there and we'll get the best set of Lucas points we can. So these seem to be a nice little set of points here. Genuine Lucas, and they're just dirty. They're not worn or pitted or anything like that. So I might just put them in the vise here and give them a quick clean. Now I suppose there's a few different opinions on cleaning pints. Do you use foils? Do you use sandpaper? Or what do you use? I have a very worn kind of bit of sandpaper here. This stage of the game they have to be cleaned, so it's going to involve friction of some kind, something abrasive. So this is it. So it's fairly worn. You can hear it's not doing a whole lot. It's just cleaning it really. It does say in the manual that there's a specific type of emery or something that you need, because look, at this stage of the game we have to clean them. So something abrasive is going to be needed, like. They're cleaning up lovely. Just a bit of dirt on that. I'll just take it off. Wire brush. Okay. Okay, this side here, yeah, they're going to work A1. And I find that these old Lucas points, you can clean them, like, you have to clean them every now and again anyway. I find these definitely take the cleaning. So insulating washer is on the wrong place. What am I thinking? Has to earth. Thinking. In a little while since I did this. So I just want to make sure that's good and a little bit of surface rust on it. It has to earth through there, so don't give it any excuse to waste your spark with your spark plug. Polish it up onto the brass peg on with your insulating fibre washer. Okay, yeah, I'm happy enough with that. It's in good nick. This isn't bent, and that's good and square as well. Okay. So you have to get this behind that insulator there and down like that. Oh, that's lovely, lovely parts. And you can just square that little square head up a little bit better. And now you can kind of tighten everything down. Just make sure that your pints are nicely lined up. Yeah, they are. They're good. Right, what else do we need here? We need our pints. Both. I should have a spare set of them here. I do. Lovely. And washers for them. Keep everything from loosening. So that's one washer, and see, I have another one. Got a fibre washer, that's no good. There's a spring washer there. That should do. Okay, there we go. That should do. So what I do with the head of these, because they're brass, give them a bit of a clean up. Show them off. Okay, so that's good. Why wouldn't you do that? All that nice material that we don't see anymore, you have it in these things, so I like to just polish them up and show them off. Okay. If nothing else as well, it just cleans up the slot for the screwdriver. And I just snugly tighten these up because we have to adjust our pints. We're going to use our Lucas pint gap tool for that. I love brass nuts and bolts for the threads. They're always so nice. We've got a Lucas pint gap tool now that we've used here before. You can put this on your key. It's a nice little thing to have. 14 thou, 16 thou, so roughly to say about 15 thou is about right for these. So what we do is we bring up our cam and into where it just dwells on the highest point there. Make sure it's still there. See, it kind of dwells there for a little bit. You can see the pints don't move. So that's when we can put in our feeler gauge and close the pints a little bit. Just till it touches that. Keep a little bit of pressure on it, very small amount of pressure, and just snug them up a little bit. Okay, take them out, spin them over there again and check the same thing again. that is how it's done. That's why it's called a feeler gauge. You just give it a feel. Tighten them up. Go on to the next cam and just make sure I'm only being fussy now. Might have closed a little bit actually when I tighten them. Yeah, they have. That's sometimes what happens. That can happen as well. That's why it's always worth checking again. Just a little bit too tight for my liking now. That's the tool that Lucas designed. Setting these points. We'll use it. More like it. Yeah, that's in around 15 or 16 thou. Yeah, so checking for tightness. Yep. But that is that. So we're good. Now a little bit of grease onto the cam there. So it doesn't wear that plastic cam there on the pints. Don't put too much on because it'll only throw it all over your pints. Starting to look like a distributor. Right, I think I have one of these cleaned up for the job. Okay. It's got this little felt seal in there. It's a nice snug feel to it. We'll tighten them up. So now we can focus on here. We should have a few more nuts. Don't really like the look of that. It's a bit crusty looking and it's not brass. And that's what it should be. Whereas that lad is. So a quick shine up, that's all it takes. And we want to get a nice washer or two for that. Oh, there's a nice brass one. That'll tie in nicely with the team. Okay, we need oops, shouldn't have dropped that. I guess with a magnet, that was something very small. I know exactly what it was. Need a little spring washer. We'll grab one of the parts here. That's not a spring washer, that's a fiber washer. This is even better than a spring washer. It's that kind of anti-shake washer. They're a mighty job. And we put on our final nut. And yeah, so we've the anti-shake on in there as well. So final nut on there. Happy days. Okay, yeah, so we'll move things around and we'll get onto the nameplate now. Okay, so clean up the nameplate here. We'll get the model number off it then and the year and the month it was made in. Very careful clean these because people painted them over the years, you know, it's fine, but if you use that too abrasive, you end up making them hard to read. So it is thankfully stamped, so you can work it out from there, but I'm just going to go the minimalistic route until I get it fitted, because at least then I'm not going to go breaking it in my hands or anything like that. These are lovely tiny little flathead screws, so I'll fit it and then I'll clean up the screws, because no my luck if I go trying to clean the screws now with the Dremel, they go flying. So in goes one, and then the second one here. I find that these are better off not tightening them on the whole way, because it sometimes leaves you with no space to tighten the other one. Lovely little screws, self-tappers. Now, okay, all the mat. Okay, and now we can give them a bit of a scrub with the degreaser wipe. We have them fitted. Want to be real fussy, you put on a bit of paint, strip around that, get the paint off. Will we do that for the crack? I think we will. Just to get a bit of that grey paint off. This is just a bit of paint stripper. Let that work for a little while. Okay, so we have some parts in here that we need and some that we don't. That's the roller pin. Out of that, I must have put the other one in, which is okay. No panic. And there's the spring washer I was looking for. There's an anti-shake now and a spring washer on, so that's going to be a well kitted out little distributor. Okay, there's another spring washer we were looking for as well earlier on, and there's a new bearing actually. We can keep that for the next one. So okay, we've got the paint stripper around. Let's see, does some of that come off now? Probably needs a bit more, still a bit, and we'll try and clean it off and see what's lurking underneath there, date wise and part number wise and all of that. And then what we'll do is we'll get down our piece of paper here with all the distributor numbers on it, and that I showed earlier on, and we'll match it up and see what is it, and where does it come from, what model did it come from. I think it was a late Ferguson 20 TVO, I think. Paint sure got a bloody good grip on it. Might put a wire, not a wire brush, a plastic brush on it there, and that just might take a bit of that dirt off. That'll be it then. Just get a rotor arm for it, match it up with the distributor cap, and then we can turn our we can go and check, see what's cooking. I'm going to put that back on cooking again. 15 minutes or so. Okay, what have we got? 40298, 40298, and based on, it's the one that I've left out. It's a late Ferguson 20 TVO, and it's the first of 1952, so 12 volt originally, and it's a version 151. Okay, so a late Ferguson. Well, we won't say late, we'll say 12 volt. And they changed to 12 volt electrics. Okay, so that's good. So let's go and find a distributor cap for it. This is a nice original Lucas one, slightly brown in colour. It's not worn at all in there. The connections are good. It has its carbon brush in there. These do need a bit of a touch of the Dremel to clean them up back to brass, but that's no big deal. There's no cracks in it. So that's what I use with that. And we're going to pair him up with a lovely original Lucas. Wow, that one's seen a bit of work. For the time being, we're going to pair him up. We mightn't keep this on forever. Lovely. And we'll just try an even older original Lucas one in for the crack. That is fairly worn. Okay, the original ones I think were even longer, like that. It's the proper original one, that. That is a lovely cap, I have to say. Yeah. That is the business. That is bad business. Must be an adapter for a coil. Interesting. And it's a Lucas part number as well. Interesting. 78114B. Oh, yeah, that's interesting now. Considering all it does really is just act as an adapter. I don't know. Interesting. Okay, so there we go. Ciao nella denta. We're all done. And it fits like a glove. So the only thing else to do with that is to fit its nice clamp and a nice advance and retard plate. I've got two nice plates there. We'll use this one, it's nice. Our advance and retard plate is here. It needs to be cleaned back and we're ready to go. So we'll give that a dart here and I'll come back when it's done. Right, advance and retard plate. So round side goes to the outside. Advance and retard plate or clamp. Okay, that goes to the outside. And it's easier to put these lads on when you don't have the distributor on. Fairly specific little studs these. The threads aren't the best on that one. Maybe it's the stud, isn't it? This is a good way of storing your distributor as well if you have these little castings, because it keeps them up out of the I suppose it keeps them upright and stops them from that lad is not correct. That lad is coarse thread. So we'll get one. Get another one of those. But yeah, that's what's wrong with that. I'll go and get my little box of nuts and get that sorted. Okay, so we have a coarse thread one, and we need fine thread. Is that fine thread? Could have annoyed the threads a little bit with the coarse one. Might have to run the die over them, which is no harm. That's definitely fine thread. Maybe it's just a matter of getting it started. I might just tidy up its threads a little bit itself. Yeah. That's probably all I wanted. This is a little bit rusty there, but there is timer marks on it. Each one of them lines is 2 distributor degrees and 4 engine timing degrees. Oh, good man, darn, brake defecting. We're too full there, that's what's wrong. Anyway, so that's that. Put a slight little bit of oil on that. Could be sitting in there for a while. That sits down in there. There you go. That's when ignition systems were simple enough for you to go and do that sort of work on them yourself. There's ignition systems these days. I don't even know where the ignition system is in my car. I just know the spark plug's in it. There you go. So we've got rid of a few distributors. How many have we left? 6 left. So been an interesting little project now. I've enjoyed it. So we will see what we do with them, but it sure has been a learning curve anyway. Definitely learned a lot about them. 553 402 43D 553. Yeah, some interesting ones, and I have to say it's a lovely nameplate on that one there, considering it's March 1949. Off it petrol Ferguson, that, not a TVO. 849 petrol TEA. That's the one we did. What did we say that was? A 52 TVO. 401 658. It's a later Massey Ferguson one. A red and grey Massey Ferguson 35. And we have a 653. And that, I think, is the one from my gold belly. That's the one that was on my gold belly that I did up. As I fitted a different one on my gold belly there to try it out. So yeah, some really nice ones there. So yeah, that's where we're going to leave it for this evening. I think, unless I can try cooking this again and taking it off, but if it works, I will show you. If it doesn't, I will leave it there for this evening. I didn't manage to get the end off, but I managed to get the butterfly out of the middle of it there. It's there. So, and we managed to get the 2 screws out obviously as well to hold the butterfly in. So that's going to go to the machine shop tomorrow, and he can heat around that lad with a gas torch and it'll let go then. But no, what's happening is because the shaft going through it is basically the same metal, the 2 metals are expanding the same rate, so there's just no way it's going to come off. So the machine shop will definitely get it. We'll get that shaft out then, and we'll be able to see what we have to do to take the play out of it. So that's where we'll leave it for tonight. So